hello, and welcome back to another episode of Mona's Rants. I am your host, Mona Shake. You guys, how was your weekend? What did you do? What's happening? What's shaking and grooving? I had a very nice weekend. I went and I was a judge on a show that I did at the Santa Monica Playhouse, thanks to Kiki Young. It was a crazy woke Asian show, which was a lot of fun. And I got a chance to reveal the name of one of the messed up, abusive male comics I've come across. And during a conversation, I ended up mentioning his name, and I'm very proud of it, actually. James is here. I said, James, like, happy Monday, people. Happy springtime. Yes, happy springtime indeed. James said, I would say that I hope things start getting better, but the shooting in Colorado is a sad reminder of all the other problems we have in our society. Yes. Not to thank you, James. Hope you thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm glad you had a good time. I had a lovely time. Interesting. I had a lovely time. You know what it is? I've been asked to be on panels before, but I've actually never had a chance to never had a chance to really but I don't see her backstage, so maybe she has the wrong link, so I'm just gonna wait for her. I have been getting a lot of boxes full of a lot of computer equipment stuff from a super fan of mine by the name of James, who is lovely and wonderful, and I think he's just utterly trying to spoil me rotten. And I received 3 of the other boxes today, and apparently there's another box on its way. I am pretty boxed out, and I'm very, very grateful to you, James, for all the lovely gifts and presents that you have sent me. So thank you very much for everything. And I promise I'm going to delve into it and start installing stuff. But anyways, my guest is here. She's a returning guest. I've had her in the past. She's an incredibly talented comic who I had the honor of meeting because she was producing a show at the Comedy Store. And then she reached out to me to come out and host the show, which is very kind of her. Here's my very talented friend, Felicia Michaels. How are you?
Hey, how are you, Mona? How's it going?
It's going good. How are you? Happy springtime?
I know. Let's get this shit over with.
Let's get this shit over with.
Jesus Christ.
Did you get vaccinated?
No, did you?
I'm getting it tomorrow morning, actually.
How'd you get it?
I help a friend out with some stuff. He's
okay,
immigration officer. He's actually an immigration lawyer. I help him out, so because I'm in touch with him, because he's in contact with a bunch of people, he's getting me the hookup.
You know what? I was at a lunch yesterday, right? The first time with more than like a person or two, and at someone's house in the backyard, and everyone there was vaccinated but me. And they all had different hookups, and all of them validated. You know what I mean? But
yes.
But where's mine?
Yeah, I know. You need friends. You need friends to hook you up.
I know. So
do you have any doctor friends who can hook you up?
No, because it's also at the same time, like, it's going to be how it's going to be. And I recognize we live in Los Angeles, which is a big city, and it's going to take longer.
Yeah.
But some states like New York just said they're going to do it 50 and over starting, I think, tomorrow or something.
Okay. I know Biden said that come May 1st, it's going to open up for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So it's not that far. I mean, March is almost over. April's gonna kick in soon, but yeah. I mean, my thing is that I have a big show that I'm producing on May 30th. It's a live show, so I gotta get jabbed and I gotta be like in tip-top shape for it because I have so many other people that I'm gonna get in touch with. So I'd rather be vaccinated and make people feel comfortable. You know?
Right. I mean, you still have to be safe. I did a live show about 2 weeks ago. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Was it like super socially distant? Like, was it outside? Where was it?
It was Jen Rogers and Ahmed, and their show. So it was totally cool.
That's awesome. Was it in Venice?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
do
I
a
know
good
about
show
that show.
together.
Yeah, I know about that
Yeah.
show. Aren't people like sitting around the pool or something like that in that show?
Yes, so it's like a lap pool. It's actually in uh Harrison Ford's kids had a place, and sorry, my dog. And it's actually their old place, but there's like a lap pool, so the audience is on the other side of the lap pool and they're socially distanced.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty safe.
God, awesome. That's awesome. You know, Felicia, we are talking about vaccination and stuff. I had a professor on. He's specializes in special infectious diseases and stuff. And we were talking, and he's like, I'm gonna put my money on the fact that come October, all comedy clubs are going to be open at 100% capacity. And
I
he's a
hope so.
professor. And he's a freaking professor. He's a professor about, infectious diseases. This is what he does, COVID in
Right,
his world.
right.
So I was just
Well,
like, man,
I hope so. I hope so. And but still, like, unless you have like really decent credits, or you're
yes.
not gonna get great sets until I gotta let my dog out. I got this puppy during the pandemic, thinking, oh, I'll be home all the time, but I can't socialize him. So he's like the stupidest dog.
I
He's
can't
so
even hear
cute
him.
though.
I don't know what you're talking
Oh,
about. I
okay.
can't even hear him.
All right. If you can't hear him, then forget it.
I
No,
mean,
he's
I,
totally
I don't hear him.
adorable, but just
Yeah, no,
drives me
I
crazy.
don't hear him at all. Because you
Okay.
said a puppy. I
Okay.
was like, what are you talking about? I can't hear anything. Yeah, yeah. No, we're good. Felicia, what do you think is going to happen? You think clubs are going to make it mandatory for their comedians performing to get vaccinated? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't think they're going to make it mandatory. I don't think that. But I mean, if you're a comedian and you're going from club to club, you're not being the brightest person not to get vaccinated. Not everyone can get vaccinated,
Yes.
physically. Not everyone can get vaccinated. I know two people that are there. There he is.
So cute.
I know two people. He's totally cute. He's totally cute.
He's a little
Uh,
dork.
Pardon?
I say he's so dorky.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, that
He's
dog. Uh he so anyway, I think it's crazy if you don't get vaccinated, but some people can't get vaccinated physically. So anyway.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Some people can get vaccinated physically? What do you mean?
Well, like my son's girlfriend, she got the flu shot once and had to be hospitalized. Like there's something in the flu shot. So for her, yeah, not it's very rare. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
but some people have allergies. Some people have this. For me, I have the gene. My mother had thrombitis, which is blood clots in the legs, and she stroked out when she was pretty young and
oh my
died pretty
god.
young.
Oh my
So
goodness.
for me, like I feel fortunate that AstraZeneca is not the only option, and I know statistically, if it was the only option, I would probably take it. But I'm
Mm,
certainly happy I don't have to take it now, because
right.
that's a small. I mean, that's a side effect that a very small number of people
Yeah.
uh, have succumbed to, and
Yeah.
people might have different things. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
have you
getting that shock.
listen? Gotta get that shot in. Have you been writing a lot of material during the pandemic? I mean, are you ready? Where you're just like, I have a fucking hour ready to go. Like, I'm gonna like work out an
I
hour worth of material.
You know what? I have some new material for sure,
Yeah.
but then for sure 15, 20 minutes new material, and I have
Okay.
been writing, but I haven't been focusing necessarily 100% on comedy. But I have this a chunk of material that I can't wait to try about kicking my son in the balls during the pandemic.
Wait, is this a true story?
Yes, yes, yes. He's 21. Everyone relax. But I wrote it out on Facebook and I had it up for about 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, this is something you have to work out in a club. This is not a story to read.
Wait a minute. Were you getting like hate mail from people to be like, you kicked your son in the balls? Isn't that and child abuse?
I
Were you
know,
getting that
I
shit?
know.
Were you
A
getting
few people are like, what the fuck? I was like,
do you
well,
have CPS showing to your house, like Child Protective Services?
oh
Like,
no, he's 21. He's 21. He's 21. Everyone relax. He's 21.
oh
But my
my
son,
god.
I had when the pandemic happened, they were 19 and 20, but he was 21 when this happened.
Yeah.
but he, they at that age you just don't understand or truly connect with the concept of your own mortality, and they had a hard time really understanding as everybody did, by the way,
Yeah.
but particularly because they're young dudes, of really understanding the issue of, hey, you can't be around other people unless you're being socially distant. And
Yeah.
so my oldest son, who this happened to, now we laugh about it, by the way, now. And the worst part, here's the worst part. His girlfriend saw me do it. I know. By the way, now we all laugh together about it because it was just one of those crazy moments where, like, my son is very ADHD.
Yeah.
And so he is like Mr. Energy Pants, like ants in his pants all the time. And so when he was 20, like right at the beginning of the pandemic, he was like, Mom, I think we need to have a talk that I'm going to start smoking some weed in my room, because I had a pretty like no weed in the house kind of thing. And for him, but
I was just gonna ask that. I'm like, no weed policy for who? That's the real
yeah,
question.
well, not in front of each other, or you know what I mean? Like, your life is your life, my life is my life, and
Sure.
I'm not gonna, But then he is so all over the place. I was thinking this could be a while, he might should smoke some weed in his room, and and then he started growing it in his closet, and then it became where one time he kind of ran out of it, and he was like, I'm going to order someone to come to the house. And I was like, no, don't do that. Pandemic. He's
Yeah.
like, I'll wear a mask. And I was like, listen, I've been cool about letting you kind of do it, but this is now becoming not okay. And then he went and did it behind my back. And then when I saw him through the window, right, because I was in my room, and then he kind of snuck out, right? But he was 21 at the time, right? But still, the games you play with your adult children. So then, and my other son was home from college. He's was 19 at the time.
Yeah.
And so then I get really mad at my son. His girlfriend's there. I'm like, hey, what the F, you're putting everybody in danger here. Like, we're a petri dish. Like, you got, blah, 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 blah. This is what kills me. They gaslight me, Mona. They gaslight me like a bunch of bitches. They gaslight me, right? And then they triangulate me, like they're snipers in my house. Like, they triangulate me, right? And then they start thinking like, no, you're crazy that you won't, let us in peace go and have strangers pull up to the house and give drugs without them, and then I was like, are you guys seriously triangulate? His girlfriend is like looking at the wall, picking at the dust. You know what I mean? She's like, what the fuck? I'm all like, don't triangulate me, bitch, right? Like, I get all like that.
This is awkward, just like.
Yeah, exactly, right? So then I was pretty hopped up, right? I was kind of stomping around and being the house bitch, which you are when you're a mom. You're just the house bitch.
You're the
like,
house
let's
bitch.
just
Okay. Nobody's ever verbalized it that way, Felicia. Yeah.
You just are automatically a house bitch.
Yeah.
So I was pretty pissed off. The younger son, who's 19, was like, you're overreacting, because he's like, yeah, bring the drugs, right? So my older son, I was pretty mad. So my older son goes to hug me, right? But when guys do that, when you're mad at a guy, like, it doesn't matter if it's your dad, your boyfriend, your husband, or your kid, right? Like, men kind of do this, and I'm sorry to be that person. And if there's men watching you, I dig you. And the spring hoeing is about to begin. That's someone's joke that I retweeted on Twitter, and I can't remember her name, but shout out to that smart, funny chick. Yeah. Spring hoeing. So anyway, so he comes over and he gives me that hug. When you get mad at a guy and then they just want it to shut down, they give you that hug. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know
Mona?
exactly what you're talking about.
So he gives me the hug, like, quiet down, little old lady, right? That hug, right? And I go to step back, right? Like, bitch, I've been taking care of this hug since '92, bitch, right? Like, I was like, I was pretty heated. Pandemic heat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So So then I go to step back and we fall off balance, right? Because he has his arms around me, right? But
Yeah.
it happened so fast and we both crashed to the ground
Oh my God.
and I kicked him in the balls. And you know what? And you know what, Mona? It was freeing. Freeing.
But wait a minute. Was he
Freeing.
like writhing in pain for a little bit, or was he like,
Yeah,
"Oh my balls,
just like the cartoons.
my balls! I can't feel my balls."
I know. So I felt
You know
that
the
bad.
cartoon when you get hit on the head or when you get kicked in the balls, you see these stars roaming around your head.
He
You
saw
think
stars. He
you
saw
just saw
stars.
stars getting kicked in the ball. It's so interesting you said that because I used to notice my brothers, I have four older brothers, and my brothers would do that to my mom when she'd be like upset at something. They'd be like, "Oh, come on, mama," and they would like try to hug her and be
Oh,
like, "Come on, old
oh,
lady, come on, calm down."
yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And then my mom would be like, "Get away from me! Get away from me!"
Because that's like when your boyfriend does it's like, no, like your feelings don't are discounted. You don't
Yes,
count. Oh,
yes,
I, as a fully formed 21-year-old, know way more than you.
yes,
Like,
yes.
please, girl, when I was your age, I was stripping at a strip club in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
You know what it
You know?
is, Felicia? It's so true, though. I mean, the kind of things like women accomplish at 21 or at such a young age, dudes are just like, okay, I'll get that when I'm like 41, and then I'm gonna get the world like fucking praising me. It's like, yo, bitch, I did that at 21, and nobody
Yeah,
fucking patted my goddamn back. You know, like
yeah, yeah.
when I was like 22 years old, I was a married woman making six figures working on in Wall Street. That's what
Wow.
the fuck I was doing at 22. You know, I look at these young kids today. They can't even clean their toilet. Like it's ridiculous. It's just like, dude, what happened? Why is there such a generational gap between even my generation and like people in their 20s or 30s? It's crazy.
Well, I do think two things can be true at the same time. I don't think you're wrong. That is for certain. But I, at the age of 22, never washed a fucking toilet. Not because I had someone to do it, but who washes a toilet at 22? Responsible Mona Shake.
I don't know. I guess that child slavery was instilled in me at a very young age. So it just
Right.
so I'm just like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go. Your dog looks so fucking cute sitting in the back
He
right
is
now.
so miserable right now. Look
He
at him.
he
He's
looks
just
like
a,
he just broke up with his girlfriend. Like literally, that's
yeah.
what he looks like. He's so freaking cute. Is that the same? That's a Frenchie, right? Is that a Frenchie?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a Frenchie.
so I guess nobody hit you up to offer you $500,000 for that Frenchie like Lady Gaga's.
No, and none of her Frenchies matched him. Otherwise, I would have raised my hand. He's totally adorable, but he is the
So
biggest
cute.
jerk on the planet Earth. I have another one too, but he's asleep in he's in his bed hanging out.
Look at him. He's just like looking out the window, like
Yeah, because
like
that's where he sees the whole lay of the land outside.
yeah, like
And
he's just sitting in the
so,
back,
yeah.
like he just broke up with his girlfriend. So freaking cute. So, so does the 19-year-old also smoke weed
Well, I mean, they're California kids. He's actually 20 now. He actually went back. He has COVID right now. He
now?
went,
Oh
yes, he went back
no.
to, he's going to school on the East Coast, and him and a bunch of his friends, they're still doing online,
Yeah.
but his girlfriend goes to NYU, and they did a round of testing, and she got flagged. She's asymptomatic. She
Oh boy.
gave three guy, my son, that's his longtime girlfriend, and then his two roommates all got COVID. And I was like, go get the test so you can find out what variant it is. It might be important later. You want to
Yeah.
make sure the count. And he's like, no, because he's in Brooklyn. I don't know, but just like it can't be that hard. Go down to the corner or whatever.
Yeah.
I've been to New York a few months ago. They're testing all over the place. Like, go get a test.
Yeah.
So it's like when you think about that, like it's
Yeah.
3 to 4 to 5 times the amount of people got it that they say at the very least,
Wow.
right? Not everybody gets tested.
That's right. Not everybody
And
gets
yeah,
tested. Yep. Not everybody gets tested. And also, they're talking about that. Let's say if you got COVID and you didn't know that you got COVID and then you get your vaccine, it's not effective. It doesn't it doesn't really matter if you got the vaccine, you got COVID. Like you have COVID in your body already, so it doesn't matter. I have a scientist friend yesterday, and I was asking her to explain it to me. I was like, explain
Two
it.
scientist friends.
Look,
Ooh.
oh no, I actually have 4 scientist friends, believe it or
Oh
not.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I have a lot of brown people, That's just what we do. It's just all these doctors and lawyers and scientists, And then there's me, the loser, who slings dick jokes on stage. Like the least accomplished of all of my friends. But
Please. Apples and oranges. Apples and oranges.
apples and oranges. But yeah, she was telling me that if you have COVID and you get vaccinated, they get the first vaccine, doesn't mean shit. It doesn't really help. So it it kind of cancels it out a little bit. So it doesn't really matter. So, but the thing is, like, these guys are young, so their immune systems are gonna bounce right back, I would think.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily know. I'm sure he's going to be fine. He's doing a lot better, but you don't always know that. Like for him, he's like one of those guys that whenever he gets a cold, like since he's a kid, he goes down. Like he's down for the month with bronchitis. And so that was he's the one I was worried about, but hopefully he will be fine now. And by the way, my older son got a job as a bud tender. Oh wow. So he showed me.
As a bud tender at which dispensary is this?
Oh, in Woodland Hills.
Very cool. Very cool. Dude, Woodland Hills is money, so he's gonna be making really.
He's doing pretty good. Yeah, he's doing pretty good.
Yeah,
he showed me.
Yeah, what did he show? He showed you what, like how to roll a joint?
No. What's funny is that, like, before the pandemic, I did find, this is actually in my act, but I did find his weed stash. And then,
Are you going through his shit, Felicia? Is that how you found his stash?
Yes.
Wait, yes. Isn't it after a certain age that moms are not supposed to go through your shit? Isn't there a universal law about that, Felicia?
Hey, there's a universal weed law. The universal stoner law is you leave your weed in my house. I get to go through it.
Found.
Yeah, exactly. But he had bought, and I found a 4-foot bong. Like I raised that douchebag a 4-foot bong. What's up with that? 4 feet tall that bong was, and it comes in like its own carrying case.
What?
It looks like a sleeping bag and a yoga mat bag had a baby. That's what it looks like. And before the pandemic, he would walk around with it like on the bus. He's a public transportation guy, so I was like, Jesus, dude.
Oh, wait a minute! In this 4-foot bong, can you have other people come and smoke it with you, or is it just for one person at a time?
Oh, it's both. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, there's not other people in here smoking that 4-foot bong with him. I'll tell you that.
Oh my God! Have you smoked out of the bong?
No, I'm old school. I got my one hitter. Come on.
You got your one. Do you roll up your own joints? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Yeah.
I used to think you should stop smoking weed once you can roll the perfect joint, and then you turn 30. You know what I mean? So I don't think that anymore.
No, I would think that once you roll your perfect joint, you open up a business. I would think that would be the natural progression because you're just so good at rolling stuff.
Do you smoke weed?
Every night.
Oh, really?
Every day.
So okay. All right.
Big fan of the weeds. I recently had somebody asking me, they're like, so you're comfortable with just putting out there on social media that you're a weed smoker? Yes, that is correct. I am absolutely comfortable with that.
Can you hear my dog now?
Yeah.
Oh, he's crying because he wants to go outside.
Aww. Poor baby.
Look, he turned around. Look.
Your other dog was just like, not 2 fucks are given. First he was like, let that bitch cry. And now he's like, just got off the, just out. No. Hello, puppy. What is the puppy's name again?
His name is Otto. Have you ever heard of a comedy act called Otto and George? Did you ever hear Otto and George?
Yeah.
It's got to ring a bell. Otto and George was a ventriloquist. Yeah. And this is back in the day. And I think it was George that was, I don't know who was who, but the dummy, it was like a filthy act. Like Otto looked very normal, right? Normal white dude, and then he had the dummy who was like, "Oh, eat your pussy, lady," like was that kind of act. So, so my dogs are named Otto and George. I don't know why I said that to you, but there you go.
No, I appreciate the fact that you were showing me the level of filth of the dummy is what you were doing. Felicia, have you performed in Vegas?
Yes.
And how has it been for you? How do you like the crowd performing in Vegas versus performing in LA? Because I would think that a lot of the clubs have opened up in Vegas. I mean, Vegas is pretty back to normal, isn't it? Like they've pretty much opened a lot of stuff.
I haven't been back since the pandemic started.
Oh,
I'm actually gonna probably go in like a month or so once I get my vaccine.
oh yeah,
But yeah, but when you perform in Vegas, it's like performing you performed in Vegas, right?
multiple times. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like
yeah.
performing to Middle America.
Performing to Middle America. I mean, I had a freaking great time. I did that show, Dirty at 12:30. Have you done that one?
Oh, no, yeah, I've never done that show, but I hear that's a fun show.
Dirty at 12:30. 400 people at midnight. $4 drinks, $3 drinks, $5 drinks, right? Packed. Of course, as it always is, Felicia, that you can also second this. The only woman on the lineup, right? Usually that is the case.
Usually, yeah. But
And
let's be honest though. When there's
yeah,
another woman on the lineup,
yeah.
don't you hate when you have to go back to another woman?
What, do I have to go back to another woman?
Like if there's two women on the show, then they
Yeah.
usually put them like back to back, and then you're like, oh, I have
Really?
to follow a woman.
I mean, I'm trying to think like if I've been on shows where there's two women. I honestly feel so much better when there is another woman on the lineup because I love to just go and talk to them and shoot the shit. Because I don't know, but that's just me. But I guess most of my shows are all women anyway, so I'm just used to
Really?
all my shows are all women shows,
Really?
and we pack.
That's awesome.
We pack the rooms out.
I bet.
Yeah, we pack the
I
rooms
bet.
out. Yeah, all my shows.
Powell has been doing shows, all black chicks. It's been killing even during the pandemic.
Yeah,
I think they're in Miami this week. It's been killing.
Yeah.
I don't mean like competition wise, but it's just like every time I get on a show, and I'm not talking about like showcase clubs where there's 25 acts a night. I'm not talking about those shows. But when you go on the road and then there's 3 acts and then they put 2 women together and then it's always like, why did you book a white woman my age? It has kids my age. It has this, that has that. Like we're the exact same person.
See,
You know what I mean? Like
that's interesting. That's a very interesting thing. I've never experienced that. First of all, how many brown female freaking comics are out there? So let's be real about that, right? So for me, it's just like it will be either be somebody like you or somebody else. Like it would never be somebody of my look, or they'll talk about the things that I'm talking about. It's vastly different, but I absolutely love it when there's another woman on the lineup. Love it.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
I love it when there's other women on the lineup, but they're just so wildly different. Then that's my favorite, that you can get everyone's perspective. And it's so funny how women, even myself a little bit, how you perceive. Well, this is an interesting thing. I have this friend who's in the business, and he said to me, don't you think it's that women always do the same jokes? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, women always do the same jokes. They always talk about their boyfriend or sex or this, or they talk about what's going on in their lives, where men talk about bigger topics, like what's going on in the world. Discuss.
First of all, Felicia, let my New York come out now. First of all, by the way, can you describe this comic to me as to what they look like or possibly name them if that's possible?
No way.
No naming.
No way.
What do they look like? Are they like a middle-aged dude?
No.
Are they young? No. Like what's their
focus on the topic? Focus on the topic.
But I'm trying to get the perspective, right? I'm trying to get the context of this person. Like, How old are they? So I think I would agree with the fact, I would partially agree with that. So I would partially agree with the fact that there are certain topics that are more common among women versus men. I would agree with that. However, I feel that as audience in general, women are just kind of not really given value even by other women if they go on and talk about, if they have a perspective on politics even sometimes, or they have a perspective on religion, or they have a perspective on like bigger topics as he described. I feel like a woman's perspective or a woman's thing is maybe not as valued as a dude's is, but at least that's just my experience.
Well, first of all, we're 51% of the population. So whatever part of our lives that we were talking about, 51% of the population gets it. You know
That's
what I
correct.
mean?
That's correct.
So shut that argument down just on that alone.
That's correct.
Second of all, it's like women do talk about different things, because after he said that to me, it
Yeah.
made me more aware of what men were talking about. And at first I was kind of like, yeah, I guess that's kind of true. But then when you really listen to what men are talking about, it's some men, it's the same.
It's the same. It's exactly the same. You know what? You know what it is, Felicia? When Wanda Sykes goes up there and gives her opinions and her comedy about politics, people laugh, right? But then if Chris Rock does it or Dave Chappelle does it, it just is given so much more weight versus what Wanda Sykes would have to say. Now, these are just
I agree.
This is something, but because also I feel like as long as women have been in, I think there's the difference between, I guess, being a white female comedian versus like a woman of color doing comedy, or I would say just myself, right? Like a brown woman or a Muslim woman doing comedy. For us, we are expected. This is every time. This is true for me, Felicia. When I go up on stage, I cannot just be like, so my dating life sucks. People are like, okay, you're going to talk about it. I want you to talk about issues. I want you to talk about the important stuff. Tell me how hard it is for women in your part of the world. Please do tell. And it's like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, I do talk about that. I do talk about the fucked up misogyny and the patriarchy and all that shit. I do talk about that. But I'm also a fucking human being. I also have a different side to me that is very common to things that you talk about or things that you experience. I mean, we're human. Like, at the end of the day, we're women. We have similar, like, common, like, female experiences that we have and that we're talking about. So I think that's, like, the only difference that for me, I have to be really smart, because the perception of brown women is like, oh, you're like this educated, really well informed and very intellectual, so please do inform us with your intellectual. And you're just like, I just want to tell a really good dick joke. Like, I wrote these really good dick jokes and I just want to tell them. Like, that's all. Like, don't expect me to bring fucking world peace. Don't expect me to solve the HIV crisis. I just want to tell a dirty joke. Like, that's it,
Right,
so,
right.
What do you think your expectations are of people when you go up and say? I mean, you've been doing comedy for a long time, but from where you were in the beginning to where you are now, do you feel the audience expectations are similar, or they've changed?
Well, I think it's all different in different types of shows. Like Marcella
Aguero.
Arguello, I guess, is yeah. I did her show a few years ago, and it was like Echoes on Sunset, like a real alternative room. I don't know if you remember that room.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And so it was like an open mic, and that was her because a bunch of young Turks, like young open micers. And you show up and you're awkwardly aged and you're not, look how do I have to talk to again? So you don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, where's my drink, bitches? I want my free drink. And
I just kicked my son in the balls. Just fucking get me.
Yeah, I know. We laugh about it now. We laugh about it now. So, and I do remember, like, in that moment where they wouldn't talk to me. You know, it was like one of those open mics where like it was more comics than audience, right? One of those kind of things.
Jesus.
And all guys except Marcel and me, maybe one other chick, right? And I remember getting on stage, no, their backs to me, right? And I did like a really edgy joke about gun control, and there was this moment where I could feel people turning around, and then they got really quiet because they understood that I knew the structure of how, you know, because I look like if I show up at midnight in an alternative room, like people are gonna be like, "What the?"
Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, I know. Like, are you lost, lady?
Are
Are
you
you
looking for
okay?
directions?
Or, you know
Did
what I
your
mean? Did
phone
someone hit
die?
you in the head? Why are you here? You know.
Hi,
But
did your
so
phone die? Are you looking for directions? What happened? Yeah.
so definitely like there are moments like that now because I've been doing it off and on for a while. I took a little bit of a break and I had good fun and success when I was in my 20s and early 30s.
Yeah.
So but back then, like when you would do it, it was like just you were nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing. And they like when women complain, even yourself, Mona, like to me now about comedy, it's like you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe you. I believe you, Felicia.
I
I believe
know.
you. I believe.
Yeah.
Listen, as much as we can even sit here and complain, I mean, the shit that you probably experienced and the shit that you went through is probably
Oh my
a
God. Can
gazillion
you?
times what we would experience.
Or how about the generation before me, like Judy
Oh,
Tenuta,
oh,
and
those
you know what I mean? Like all those guys, like
like Joan
Elaine
Rivers.
Boozler or Joan Rivers. How about Phyllis Diller? Phyllis Diller, I did this. There was a comedy, it was I am I am comic by directed by Jordan Brady. Do you know Jordan Brady at all?
I don't know.
Uh, Jordan Brady is a director. He does a lot of commercial directing as well, but he made these documentaries about comedy, and one was called I Am Road Comic, one was called I Am Comic. Really great. They were on Showtime, and like just tons of comics. Everybody was in it, but I got to be interviewed in it, and I was doing stills because I do a lot of photography, so I did the stills on it,
Yeah.
and I got to meet Phyllis Diller, and
Wow.
I took this picture. Fucking Phyllis Diller, one of the OGs. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Like,
That's right.
and Rich Scheidner was conducting the interviews for the documentary, and Rich Scheidner found some picture, black and white picture of Phyllis Diller when she was like late 20s or something. Attractive woman,
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
attractive woman.
Yeah.
And so we were in her pink mansion inside in Beverly Hills. Inside it was all pink, and they showed her this picture and they talked to her about what was comedy like when you started out, and it's like she had to downplay all her sexuality.
That's
That's
right.
why she dressed in those kooky dresses with a weird hairdo. Or and then there was another woman comic named Jean Carroll. She did the Tonight Show like in 62, 63, but
Yeah.
pure stand up, and she was pretty phenomenal. And then there, you know, a lot of women came to comedy at that time. There's a woman, she's still alive,
Yeah.
but she's quite old, but her name was Rusty Warren,
Yeah.
and she came through comedy because a lot of the women came through funny songs, like from doing like uh, what was it, the Catskills. You know what I mean?
Oh.
They would have
Oh, that was
comics,
right.
but then they would have women come on, and Rusty Warren was, she had this famous song about boobs, like her boobs. It was a famous song in like the 50s or 60s, but
Okay.
she's, you know, just pounding on a piano like, ah, my kitty, you know, like one of those. I can't do it any justice, but how women had to come through to perform through their sexuality and through the back door that way, you know. So
Right. Right.
so it's so heartening to see like how women nowadays, like I think some of the best comedy nowadays is being done by women.
That's correct. I would 100% agree with you. You know, I don't know about you, but I love Chelsea Peretti. I think Chelsea Peretti really talks about like a lot of really good shit. Like I like Hannah Gatsby. Holy shit. Hannah has been
Yeah.
massive influence on me. Like massive. Hannah is the reason I was able to sit down and write my first stand-up special. It's because of Hannah. I mean, she inspired me so much, and I was like, wow, you can do comedy like that. I didn't know. Do you feel, Felicia, like when you started off to where you are today, you know, in the beginning you weren't giving yourself permission to talk about certain things, but now you are in a place where you're like, I don't fucking care. I'm just going to talk about whatever.
Wow. But that, I agree with you, yes, but
Yeah.
that's also age related. I mean, certainly circumstance, but you know, I started out pretty young. So by the time I was 21, I was a regular at the Comedy Store. I hate when I say that, and I always say it, but because it feels so like when I was 21. But
That's the equivalent of me saying, when I was 22, I was on Wall Street.
Right, exactly. So, but at that age, you just don't really have anything that serious to talk about. But speaking of Hannah's, Hannah, God, what is her last name? She's so funny, young girl. Hannah, her mom was
Montana?
one. No, not Hannah Montana. Yes, Hannah
Yeah.
Montana. That's where the interview goes askew. But God, it's going to drive me crazy. But she's a wonderful joke writer. Her mom was one of the original SNL people. Not Gilda, Lauren. That's going to drive me crazy. But she's a really funny. I'm so sorry, I can't remember her name. But she is a very funny joke writer. But a lot of the women, like Liza Traeger, it's like, or Lisa Traeger, it's like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like even someone like Annie Letterman, the best thing about being an older woman in comedy is you can spot what people are doing, even if they're swimming around in the darkness. Like a person like Annie Letterman, like 3 years ago, she started doing this really aggressive type of stand-up that was confusing to the audience, and it was very sexually heightened, and it was powerful, but she hadn't wrapped her arms around it. And then what was a bummer for the audience, including me, is she had just wrapped her fucking arms around that whole style and was killing it.
Wow.
So I love seeing young women who are doing something completely different, and when they have that moment of, holy, here comes the power, you know what I mean?
Right.
With this artistic choice I'm making that seems like so risky, and like, what is that person doing? And then you see them like 6 months or a year later, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, as far as men go, like, and when I first started doing stand-up, I won Star Search pretty early, so I got the headline really early. And one of my middles years and years ago, like we're the same age, but years and years ago, was Doug Stanhope.
Wow.
And Doug Stanhope, funny from the get-go.
I love him. I had him on. He was a guest on my podcast.
Oh, lucky you. He is so exceptional. I mean, he's just exceptional as a writer all across the board. But at that time, he was so powerful. Like, as a headliner, you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, he hadn't even been doing it that long. But he had this thing where he would kill, like, crush, like the crowd would be like, for 20 minutes, right, as a middle. But he couldn't figure out the structure of how to get that past that 20 minutes where you have to take the crowd up, take him down, take him up, take him down, And then I got to see him like 10 years ago, and I hadn't seen him since, even though I'd seen him around the clubs or I'd seen him in other stuff, but I hadn't really seen a stand-up. And then about 10 or 15 years ago, I saw it, and I was like, holy shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? He mastered it in a way that like only a handful of people can do.
Right.
I can't do it. Like, so when you see young women having that same moment of where they've learned, to master their own power, it's gorgeous. Like what Annie Letterman did in such a short period of time and she's always very funny, but she just made this conscious choice because you have to swim against the tide. It's easy to do dick jokes and this joke and that joke, but what's the point? What is your point?
That's right. Precisely. And I think for me, I don't know what year was it for you where you were like, this is my voice. Like, this is who I am. This is the kind of stuff I'm going to talk about. For me, this is what I am in that place now where I know exactly what I want to talk about. I want to talk about, about my life. I want to talk about the fucked up things I grew up with. I want to talk about my fucked up childhood. I want to talk about the kind of, abusive fucking bullshit that's out there. And, it's fucking dark. It's really, really dark. And I think I've been hiding from the darkness for a very long time because I didn't know how to tackle it. I didn't know how to handle it, right? Because I'm just like, oh shit, if I'm gonna bring this kind of darkness on stage, then I better make sure that I bring lightness on stage too. And I gotta find
it's a layers of confidence, you know what I mean? It's like it's like anything that you do creatively or do good at your job, it's just layers. Like, there's such a difference when you're trying something new and you're like, I think this is what I should be going in. Like for me, when I started out so young, being so young at the time when the average audience member might have been 34 and I was 21, like I didn't have anything that in common,
right.
That was kind of different. And so I started talking a lot about sex as a 21-year-old, and
Sure.
a lot of women weren't doing that then because you were pressured, and this is the 80s, but you were pressured to not be dirty at all. So, but the one thing I did have in common with the audience member was sex, and because I had been a stripper at a young age, at 18, this was a den of thieves at the Comedy Store, but they were, the guys were not the most kind to a 21-year-old, but they're not kind to any 1-year-old. They don't give a fuck if you're a girl or a guy. Like, get the fuck out of my face. Like, you know how they are, right?
That's right.
And
it's brutal. Yeah.
It's brutal. But having been in the atmosphere of a strip joint, it's like when they were being misogynistic jerks, it's like, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like,
but Felicia, when you're like 21, and you're going on stage and making yourself vulnerable and being like, I was a stripper at 18, I'm 21 years old now. I mean, are you not getting sexually harassed by other comics or other even patrons coming in backstage? You must have been, or in the audience.
Oh yeah. But I didn't take it personally, but that was me. I think we actually spoke about this before. That was me, like, for sure, like having been through the cycle.
What do you mean you don't take it personally? What do you mean by that? If you talk about being a stripper on stage and the guy walks up, he's like, so you're like,
no, you're misunderstanding me. I never talked about stripping on stage. I talked about sex in a very blatant manner. Oh, no. I kept that shit undercover. You know what I mean? Because
got it.
Yeah, if I would have let those guys know, that would have been the end of that. You know what I mean? Right. So that was something I didn't even share till I was like in my late 30s.
Wow.
Because no. But I'm saying, having gone through the experience of being a sex worker and being around the most misogynistic of men, that I was able, when I was in the den of thieves, to not take it personally, because it didn't have it. I knew it had nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not right that they did that, but it would have been any woman in that situation, and it was made worse because I was younger, and it took them aback, because I was able to say, eat a dick, to a 40-year-old headliner when I was 21, like, dude, please, but from my own experience, not that they knew that, you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, would you ever have a headliner like, because you made sex jokes and then you come backstage and they're just like, so you want to try some of these?
Oh, please. Blowjob's not cheating. Blowjob's not cheating.
Oh, is that a thing? I heard.
Oh my God.
I heard a big comic once. I was at the Laugh Factory, hanging upstate, up top where like all the comedians hang out and stuff. So I was in like up there hanging out, and this very big comic, he's a Middle Eastern comic. We'll just leave it at that. And he was sitting, and he didn't realize that I was sitting behind him. And he talked.
Are you going to say his name? Are you gonna tell me what he looks like?
Touche, Felicia. Touche.
Okay.
Come here. Anyway, so and I'm sitting behind him, and he goes, well, pussy on the road doesn't count, man. Pussy on the road doesn't count. He goes, I have a girl. I got her flown out from another state. She lives with me, but dude, pussy on the road doesn't count. I was like,
Yeah.
pussy on the road very much counts, sir. I'm sure it's gonna count if you tell your girlfriend that. Oh, it's gonna fucking count like
Right.
hell if you tell her that.
Yeah. You can never say anything like the lives I could have destroyed for a good
That's
12
right.
years of my career. But
That's
you
right.
can't say anything. That's out. That's guy code. You can't say shit, and it's none of your business. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
even though I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in
Yeah.
general. But even though they want you to know so bad their business, it's like, And I remember once, and I'm gonna say his name because I don't give a fuck. But there's this comic named Jeff Jenna, and Jeff Jenna was one of the original road dogs, like in the '80s. He enjoyed himself.
I
He
bet he did.
enjoyed himself.
I bet he
He
did.
enjoyed himself.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so he was one of those guys like, blowjob's no cheating. And it's like, why you keep telling me this? Like, what the fuck, dude? You know what I mean? Like, what's up? And then I worked with him a couple of different places. I don't care. Like, that's your business. Leave my shit alone. Don't come near my door in the comedy condo.
Right.
But that being said, then you guys all grow up, but he was probably 15 years older than me at that point, right?
Yeah.
And then you go on Facebook, and now he's Christian, and has all these, Christian views about his life and about judgment on what other people do and those hoary young girls. And it's like,
Wow.
that's when I bust loose. Like,
Did you
really, dude.
do you go and comment on his page and be like, you remember that comment you used to make, blowjobs don't count? Or was it blowjobs aren't sex? Or what was his comment?
Yeah. I did that once. But yeah, because that's what, like, who cares? Who cares? But then don't be sloppy throwing your business around, right?
Yes.
And then try to be morally superior.
That's right.
I guess exactly what I'm doing right now.
You know what? But you're not, though. But you're not. You're just calling out the man's hypocrisy, right? Like,
Right.
you were the biggest
That's
fucking
everyone's
whore.
hypocrisy, to a point.
Yeah, but
So.
it's like, but he was being a little whore on the road, and now he's Mr. Christianity. Get the fuck out of here, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, people are allowed to have growth, and
100%.
redemption's important.
Sure.
Like right now, I think the conversation should be redemption. Why do we gotta, like, I did that to him like 4 years ago, where I got really mad because he's being an idiot about stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, as I'm all contraire mon frere, on the flip side, like, it's been 25 years. He deserves to grow.
Yes.
He deserves, and it's, like, people like cancel culture. Like, how do you feel about cancel culture? Like, some people need a timeout. Why do we have to cancel people? Let's just have severe timeouts. But people should have redemption. Like, are we going to hate on Louis C.K. longer than if he actually was jailed, if it was a jailable offense, which probably was not, or maybe it was. I don't know the specifics. But are we going to scarlet letter him forever? Like, and I'm not defending it. I'm not defending it at all. But when people should be allowed to have redemption to a certain extent. I'm not talking about like the Atlanta guy who killed those ladies and the people. Right. Yeah. But where is redemption? Or like, let me ask you this question. Like, there was the young woman who became the editor at Teen Vogue.
Oh, I heard about her recently.
So I don't know all the details of the whole story, but the beginning of the story is she was a political pundit, right? And she would go on MSNBC and stuff. Young lady, African American, beautiful young lady, super smarty pants, the whole thing. And another lead lawyer found out that she was dating someone who worked at the White House, a young man that worked at the White House, and was going to expose that they were going out. So the
Oh,
guy at the White House was like, "You do that, I'll ruin your career." Dummy move, right? He gets in trouble. He has to resign. The girl that he's dating, not girl, lady, young lady, who became the editor of Teen Vogue, she had to quit her reporting job or something, but then she got the Teen Vogue thing. And then someone called her out for tweets she did when she was 17 and 18, and she had to immediately resign the Teen Vogue post, right? And now they're saying that the person who called her out on those tweets when she was 17 or 18 uh, also did some questionable tweets.
wow.
You know what I mean? About
Right.
race. And yes, people should be called out on that.
Yeah.
But where's redemption? And I'm not just talking about the women, but the
Yeah.
men too.
Yeah. You know what it is, Felicia? I didn't know all the details about the Teen Vogue girl story, but I remember reading the tweets, right? I remember reading the tweets
Hmm.
and going to myself, man, you know, even when I have a bad day, those are not the kind of thoughts that ever go through my head. They just don't. Now, I've never once thought about, I mean, I don't know about Melissa Villasenor, who got picked up, who's a regular on SNL, right? Melissa,
Right.
right?
Uh-huh.
She got in a lot of hot water when she got that gig for SNL because her tweets resurfaced about she was making fun of black women. She was making fun of certain black women, and people were fucking going after her. They were like, "Fire her, get rid of her." But SNL didn't. They just let the storm do its thing, and then they just kept quiet. And then she went about her life. So I guess my thing is that in my head, Felicia, I've never been like, you know, well, brown bitches be like this and white bitches be like, I don't know. My brain doesn't process that. Like, I don't think like that. So for me, I just couldn't kind of wrap my head around it. Why somebody thought that it was okay to say, one of her tweets that she wrote was, "I woke up this morning, my eyes are swollen, and my eyes are so Asian this morning." That's what she wrote, right? So you kind of have
Right,
to be like,
right.
is that what went through your mind, that your eyes are Asian? Like, when my eyes are swollen, I'm like, my eyes are just fucking swollen. I'm not thinking about race. Like, I don't know, like what you're referring to.
Right,
Amy Schumer got in a
right,
lot of trouble for it. Remember that joke she made about one of the ice skaters? I forget her name. And she was like, "I'm Asian," and Amy's punchline is, "I thought you were really sleepy," And Amy got in a lot of trouble for
right.
that too.
Yes.
So
Fair
I
enough. Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she got in a lot of trouble for that. I think what is happening is that people have been able to, I think just like a lot of people, especially men, have been able to get away with punching down on women, like, "Oh, women aren't shit," or "Women are this," or "Women are that." But now, because more and more women are coming up and saying, "Hey, it's not fucking cool to say that shit. Like, you can't just be fucking talking shit about women. Like, I'm gonna fucking retaliate." So I think that's happening on the minority side too, right? Minorities as in Asians and South Asian or Middle Easterns or whatever. They're rising up and they're saying, "Hey, I'm not cool with you fucking punching down on me. I'm not cool with it." So I think that's what's happening, and it's growing pains. It really is just growing
I do
pains.
think so too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
do think so
it
too.
really is growing pains, right?
Yeah.
People coming to terms to be like, "Okay, it's cool to say this, but it's not cool." Sometimes, listen, Felicia, people get mad at me when I make fun of myself or make fun of my own background. They're like, "Oh, don't do that." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? If I can't make fun of myself and if I can't make fun of my own background, then what is the fucking point? Like, why not? If I can't call out the bullshit and the hypocrisy in my own culture, in my own religion or whatever, or even in my own family, then what the fuck? Like, what the fuck are we doing
Right.
here? Why are we like, are we just bullshitting each other? Like I'm sure you went up on stage and talked about hypocritical shit, or even you're just calling out this Jeff Jenna guy
Please.
right now.
Please. That's a cornerstone of my career.
Right? Well, that's what I'm talking about, right? I mean, it's
Right,
just people
right.
coming up and saying that. So I don't know. I think I think there is the I think there is this thing that especially the right is really tossing it around. It's like cancel culture. Oh, it's outrageous. And it's like, look, if cancel culture was so fucking powerful, none of these fucking Fox News pundits and these fucking OANN people and the Newsmax asshole, none of them would have a job because cancel culture would cancel them out. But that's not what's happening. They are getting to keep their jobs. They're getting to make the money they do. Bill O'Reilly, if he only kept it in his pants and didn't have sticky fingers when it came to around other women, he would still have his show. But because he couldn't keep his dick in his pants, he lost his fucking show. And all the other assholes. Roger Ailes, he was sexually harassing all these news anchors that were coming in. That's what took him down, right? It wasn't like cancel culture. It was because you're sexually harassing employees. Like, you can't do that shit. There's actual legislation that's against it, you know? And there was a time, Felicia, when there was no legislation. Women who came up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, that whole fucking Mad Men era, these women getting their fucking asses spanked when they were going to work. That's crazy. That's insane. If somebody spanks my ass at work, I will punch their fucking lights out. I will get on top. I will beat the living pulp out of them. Fucking try to touch me. Like, it's harassment. But these women had to take it. But we have come so far, right? It's an evolution, right? It's an evolution. Like, women are going through, and I think that's what's happening with minorities too. They're also going through an evolution. They're also coming up and talking about things that before they didn't have the platform to talk about, but now they do. So that's kind of my take on cancel culture.
Right. Well, I think the important thing is just to always, like, I don't mean to moralize like this. Like, I think the important thing is to just always want to remain curious. And, you know, like, I used to do these shows with John Fugelsang called Comedy Nation. And we had, like, some of the best comedians on there and of all ilk, you know. And I'm a big fan of Jenny Yang.
Yeah,
Jenny Yang is phenomenal. And, you know, she said one time, like years ago, about my dog.
I think your dog's a Jenny Yang fan.
He's into Jenny Yang. Come here. But about she's kind of saying, like, you shouldn't have to come and ask Asian people what's acceptable to ask or to make fun of. You should do your own research, right? I think about that, like, she probably said that in a show, not to me, but in a show, like just an off the cuff remark. And that stuck with me. Like, that really made me think about how I write, not just comedy, but script writing or book writing, where I have other characters, and about, you know, I should be more aware of what's the correct way to go about this, and it should be my own curiosity and my own desire to do the correct thing, and not just spew and wait to be spanked.
Right.
I mean, that's, you know what I mean?
So did you find that comment as if it was leaving you in the dark, or did you feel like, oh my God, now I have to, or did you feel like, oh my God, I have to walk on eggshells because she said that, so now I have to go do a whole research if I ever want to discuss anything about or write about anything Asian related or any other ethnicity for that matter?
Well, it's like I'm writing on a project now where I wanted to write a young Muslim woman, right? And so it's like I wanted to write about her hijab. It's an animation, like, but I wanted to, like, does she have a hijab? Hijab.
Yeah.
Hijab. Sorry,
Hijab,
my
yeah.
apologies.
That's okay.
There you go. See, I should have looked at how it was pronounced. But hijab. So, you know, like, before I would have been like, put the hijab on her and let's just move the fuck on, right? But because of what Jenny Yang said 5 years ago to an audience on an off-the-cuff remark, it's like, no, I need to go research the shit out of this and make myself aware, and not, you know, not just puke shit out and then have other people, like, go to you and say, is this cool? Is this cool? It's like, I should just do the work.
Right.
And that, you know what I mean? Like, once you're like, what do I got to figure out? Blah, 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 then you're fucked. Then you're, you know, that's when it goes down. But people do make mistakes. Like, I was once on Ida Rodriguez's Truth Serum, right? And I said the word cotton picking. I grew, you know, my dad's from Oklahoma. Like, his life is like the grapes of wrath. He picked fruit as a kid, like in Northern California, his whole family did. They were from Oklahoma. Never, that's how they spoke. Never in a million years did I, at this age, at this point in my life, realize that that is kind of a racist term.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of stuff that
Wait, did she kind of call you out on it, or did she get upset at you?
but I no, not upset. She's awesome. But
Yeah.
explaining it, at that time, it's like 3 or 4 years ago, but it's like,
Right.
how many things do we say or do in a normal day that are grounded in really fucked up shit that we don't even recognize because
Right.
it's been, grounded into society, that we don't even recognize that that is a racist term, or things like that.
Right, right.
Anyway.
I mean, and that's there it is, right? It goes back to the evolution part I was saying, right? It's just that evolution part. But I know you had posed another question, which was how long is there no such thing as redemption? How long do these people stay canceled? Like you were talking about Louis C.K. That's a very good question. I don't know. I really don't know who gets to decide that. I think the audience really gets to decide that. And it seems like before the pandemic hit, he was trying to get back to the Comedy Cellar. He was trying to work stuff out. Look, his fans were there. They were supporting him. They were cheering him on. But then there were other people on the internet who were really fucking upset at him. They were like, fuck this. He's not allowed to come back. He is not ready to come back. And the similar thing happened to Chris D'Elia. Like, Chris D'Elia literally lost his entire fucking career during the pandemic. Like, he got called out by all these young women that he was trying to solicit sex out of. And then he put out this video that he's sorry. And then he was getting mocked for it. People were fucking straight up mocking him. They're like, oh, you're sorry because you got caught. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was banging all these chicks and I'm not going to bang them anymore. Like, people were legit mocking him for making that video. Now, I try to look things from all perspectives. So I was just like, okay, so if you're a dude who's done shitty things and you got fucking called out on the internet and you got dropped by your fucking agent and manager and everybody, and you're trying to come back and you're like, look, I fucked up. Like, I fucked up. I think there is certain words almost. There's always almost a certain way that you have to even tell like your sincerity. And I feel as human beings, like we just like animals, we rely on instinct. And I think a lot of people's instinct is this person's not sincere. They're not sincere. They're just doing this because they want to get their career back. They just want to go back, get on the road, book their shows, make money, have agent again. And I think that's the tough part right there, Felicia. I mean, God knows. I mean, who gets to decide that? I don't know. Audience, they're the ones who are putting their hard-earned dollar to come and watch these people, right? They're spending their money to come see you and me, so they get to decide that. They get to decide that.
Yeah. No, it's I don't have the answer either, but we just can't keep going around canceling people. Should people get spanked? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But okay, so if they don't get canceled, what kind of repercussions do you think people should have then? If you say
Well,
crazy
I
stuff
mean,
like
it just give it an example, like, because it's you can't make an across the board
right?
declaration. I mean, what are you talking about? Like what?
Like across the street, like across the board declaration. Like, what do you mean?
Like what I think should happen to Chris D'Elia might be different than what should happen to Louis C.K. or how long he should be held accountable. I mean, both not correct, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But was underage girls with Chris D'Elia.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
what's
that's
more morally reprehensible? They're both pretty morally reprehensible as
but one is a
women and as
felony.
human beings.
One is a felony, my Felicia. One is a felony. Having sex with an underage child is a felony.
Exactly. So I'm saying you can't have the same. Can't just make a blanket statement about who how long people should be canceled for. But
Yeah.
as example of the young lady, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, who just had resigned as the Teen Vogue. That this young lady is in her late 20s, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now her career is over. Does she deserve that? I can't answer it. Should she have answered to her tweets? Yeah, I think so. It's like I just saw a thing, Ellery Smith. I guess she's a woman comedian. Not, I guess she is. I don't know her. I just saw this on Twitter, and she had wrote a tweet. She must be in her mid-20s, I would guess, maybe like 24, I don't know, but around there. But when she was 17 or 18, she wrote a questionable tweet that was, you would assume, would be racist, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
someone had called her out on it on Twitter,
Uh-huh.
and she raised her hand and said, "Oh, that was completely fucking wrong." I mean, I'm paraphrasing, right?
Sure.
And I take responsibility for that. I was a young girl. That was stupid. I was dumb to do that. I'm paraphrasing, but she took full on responsibility for it.
Uh-huh.
And then Frank Castillo, Frank from the Comedy Store, he
Sure.
retweeted, which I thought, like, made me really think a lot about this today, because this just happened today. He retweeted about how white people get redemption quicker than people of color. And that's important to talk about, right? Like, if I say a fucked up thing and I'm a white woman, I might be able to skate a little bit more on something other than when a person of color fucks up, that they're held to a harsher
Punishment.
standard, punishment. And so, these are all things that you have to keep in mind when you're shooting your mouth off on Twitter as an adult comedian. You know what I mean? Because it's really
Right.
easy to say stupid shit. I mean,
Right.
from what I post now to what I posted 3 years ago, it's different, because we've grown, and people should be allowed to have redemption and have growth. How
Yeah.
fucked up would it be if we had to be perfectly formed? Like, no one gets ahead unless you're perfectly formed and say the perfect shit all the time. It's not an excuse. It's not
Yeah.
an excuse.
You know what it
But
is, Felicia? I feel like it also is a matter of how much fucked up shit have they said and over how long of a period of
fair
time.
enough. Fair enough.
Right?
Fair
If
enough.
you've just been doing fucked up shit for a long time and getting away with it and somehow then crying that, oh, it's cancel culture. Well, you've been saying fucked up shit for a very fucking long time and then get called out on it. And now it's fucking coming to bite you in the ass.
Right, right. But what about historical people that get canceled?
That's a whole different conversation, Felicia.
I know, but it's like, fuck, man.
Like, like dead people getting canceled? That's fucking hilarious. Hey, Abraham Lincoln, you're fucking canceled, man.
Fuck you, Abraham Lincoln.
Hey, Abraham Lincoln, I know you fucking got killed by a fucking douchebag actor, but hey, we're also gonna fucking cancel you.
Yeah. So, and there's so many questions and so many answers, but the positive thing is, at least we're talking about it. And hey, I'm sure skeletons in my closet. I'm no fucking angel.
I think
we all have shit.
We all have shit, legit. But I don't ever recall writing a tweet or posting and being like, I woke up with Asian eyes. What does that mean? Like, what? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Like, I had a whole group of Asian female comics last week on my live stream, just like this, and she used the word chinky. Right? She was like, I have chinky eyes. Those are her words that she used, and I was just like,
an Asian comedian said that
about herself, yeah. And I was just like, I wanted to ask her, but then we got caught up, and I want to ask my Asian friends that, and but I think that's I think it's different when somebody of the same ethnicity says something like that. If it's like black people using the N-word, you're right. They absolutely have the right to use it. You and I fucking don't. We don't. We don't have the right. I don't give a fuck how you try to justify that shit. We don't have it. Period. Just go talk about something else.
Right. Yeah.
You know? So, I don't know. Felicia, this was a really fun chat, man. Thank you so much.
I know, the time went by. I miss your beautiful face.
I miss your beautiful face too. Let's go get some coffee. Yeah, hanging in. Doing the best
sorry, the shit gets real didn't do better at the store, but they changed everyone over. What are you gonna do?
All good. We tried. Felicia,
we tried.
Where can people follow you?
You can follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels. I'm not all the time this moral blowhard. So sorry, everybody. But you can follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. How have you been doing the TikTok? I started out and then I was like, meh.
Yeah. I get it. I totally get it. Felicia, I adore you. I will see you soon, my friend. Thank you so much for doing this. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. That was the lovely Felicia Michaels. That was such a great conversation. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I know I definitely did. If you can follow me on my YouTube channel, you can go to youtube.com/Mona Shake a Comedian. You can follow me on my YouTube. You guys, I'm getting so close to monetizing my show. So close. If you can just go and subscribe to it or even share it with your friends to go and subscribe to it, I promise you I bring on these amazing conversations like the one we had today. I live stream 5 days a week, bring on brand new guests every single day. Tomorrow's guest is going to be phenomenal. I'm very excited about the guest tomorrow. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mona's Comedy, and as well on TikTok and Facebook at Mona Shake Comedian. You guys have a good evening. I will see you tomorrow. Stay safe out there. Have a good night.